Hello, fourth grade, and welcome to lesson 1-2. We're going to be talking about place value relationships.
How are place values related to each other? Kiana had 100 bottle caps. She wants to collect 10 times as many bottle caps. How many bottle caps will Kiana have in her collection then? In the number 100, the 1 is in the hundreds place. A hundreds flat represents 100 bottle caps. There are 10 tens in a hundreds flat. To find 10 times as many bottle caps, group 10 hundreds flats together. What is the relationship between the number of ones in a hundreds flat and the number of ones in a thousands cube?
Select your answer.
There are 10 times as many ones in a thousands cube as in a hundreds flat. 1,000 is 10 times 100. 100 times 10 equals 1,000. 100 is 1/10 of 1,000. 1,000 divided by 10 equals 100. Kiana will have 1,000 bottle caps in her collection.
Okay, so we're going to get into our guided practice here in just a second. I wanted to go over some notes that I wrote as we were going through our lesson. So remember, always put your lesson number and title at the top. 1-2, place value relationships, and we're focusing on understanding how are place values related. So what you need to know is that each place value is 10 times bigger than the previous one. So 10 times more than the ones before it. So this is a 5 that's just in the ones. 50 is 10 times that, that's in the tens. 500 is 10 times 50, which is in the, when we go from the tens to the hundreds, we multiply by 10. When we go from the hundreds to the thousands, we multiply by 10. So remember, anytime you're multiplying a number by 10, you're adding a 0 to the end of that number. So 5 multiplied by 10 gave us 50, that has 1 0. 50 multiplied by 10 gave us 500, that has 2 zeros. 500 multiplied by 10 gave us 5,000, that has 3 zeros. So you can see that right over here. And we also talked about the 100 flats and the thousands cube and how that each one, the hundreds flat is 1/10 of the thousandths cube, and the thousands cube is 10 times the hundreds flat. So let's go ahead and take a look at our guided practice questions over here. Now it says, is the value of the 2 in 23,406 10 times greater than the value of the 3? Explain. So let's take a close look at these digits and not look at the digit itself, but look at what the value of that digit is. So where is it when we're thinking about place value? What is the value of that digit? So we're looking at these two digits right here. Is the value of the 2 in 23,406 10 times as great as the value of the 3? Now, we know this is in the 1,000th place, and this is in the 10,000th place. So the 2 is 10 times greater. So we're going to say yes. The 2 is 10 times greater than the 3 because it is in the 10,000s place. And the 3 is in the 1000s place. So you're not just giving your answer, you're explaining your answer. You're giving evidence to go and back it up. For number 2, write a number in which the value of 3 is 10 times greater than the value of the 3 in 135,864. So write a number where that's greater. Okay, so we want to put something that's 10 times greater than this 3. So we've got to be looking at this place value right before it. So if we're going to modify or change this number, and we need to make it this one 10 times greater than that one, it's going to be 335,864. Now, why is that? Because we wanted a 3 that's 10 times bigger than this 3 in this number. So what we did was we changed this 1 and turned it into a 3 so that it fits the directions in our question. Now I know my answer for number 1 is already faded out, unfortunately, but for numbers 3 all the way until number 13 on the following page, that is going to be your independent practice and what you're going to work on your own for homework. So you're going to use the relationship between place values of the digits to be able to solve these questions. Let's take a look at what those questions look like so you know how to answer them when you're working on them independently. Base 10 school district bought 5,000 pencils. They're distributing the pencils evenly to 10 schools in the district. How many pencils will each one get? So when we multiply by 10, we add a 0. When we divide by 10, we do the opposite because multiplication and division are inverse operations, or they are opposite of each other. So instead of adding a 0, we're going to take a 0 off when we divide by 10. So for this one, you want to go to one place value smaller. So you want to divide this by 10. So 5,000 pencils divided evenly between 10 schools means each school gets 500 pencils. And the way to check your work here is to do the inverse operation, to multiply. So I'll show you how to do that. So we can either do 5,000 divided by 10 equals 500. And we check our work by doing the opposite. 500 times 10, if that equals 5,000, then I know that my work was done correctly. So always do your work and then check to make sure you did your numbers correctly by doing the inverse operation. If your numbers check out, then you're fine. But remember, when you divide by 10, I'm going to add that into our notes over here so that you guys have that information. When you divide by 10, take a 0 off the end of your number. Now this obviously only works if there's a 0 at the end of your number. So if you have 5,000 divided by 10, you end up with 500. You have 500 divided by 10, you end up with 50. 50 divided by 10, you end up with 5. So this works, this simple version of the rule works really well if your numbers already end with a 0. So then you're just knocking a 0 off. If they're asking you for 10 times as many, obviously 10 times you're multiplying Anytime you multiply by 10, you add a 0. When you're dividing by 10, you bump a 0 off, or you're making that number, you're reducing it by 1 place value. All right, if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I hope you have an amazing day. Take care. Bye-bye.